The small frontier town of Silver Creek breathed with a life both vibrant and haunting. Dusty streets wound their way through rows of wooden buildings, the sun glinting off the worn rooftops. Native cedar trees surrounded the outskirts, whispering secrets to those who dared to listen. The townsfolk bustled about, their faces weathered by sun and toil, yet tinged with a sense of unease that hovered in the air like an uninvited guest. A sense of mystery cloaked Silver Creek, for its history was not merely of settlers and trades but of something deeper, a buried secret that few dared to acknowledge. Shadows flickered in the alleys, and whispers floated through the tavern doors like smoke from a dying fire. Those who lived in town often exchanged knowing glances, as if bound by a collective understanding that not everything was as it seemed. Wild roses grew amongst the rocks, thriving against all odds, just like the Apache child who wandered these streets. He was different from the bustling townspeople, hidden by silence yet carrying a weighty presence. His closed lips held untold stories, much like the well-worn paths through the wilderness surrounding Silver Creek. Here, in this blend of beauty and dread, our tale begins. A tale of barter, of lost truths, and perhaps even of redemption among darkest secrets waiting to be unveiled. In the heart of Silver Creek, the young Apache child moved like a shadow, often unnoticed by the townsfolk who rushed about their daily lives. His name was Koa, which meant brave, but it was his silence that defined him. While other children laughed and played, he remained muted, absorbing the world around him with wide, expressive eyes that spoke volumes more than words ever could. Koa belonged to neither the Apache tribe nor the town itself. To his people, his silence was seen as a weakness, a gift unappreciated in a culture that valued storytelling and voice. The townspeople, on the other hand, viewed him with suspicion, their whispers treating him as an enigma, a boy who chose not to speak rather than one who simply could not. This duality made Koa feel like a ghost, drifting through life unseen but always present. Yet there was power in his silence. Koa had learned to listen carefully to the whispers of both nature and humans. He found comfort among the cedar trees at the edge of town where he would sit for hours, listening to their rustling leaves share secrets of a forgotten past. In his heart, he knew that one day his silence might be his strength, a key to unlock mysteries far greater than himself, and perhaps even change the fate of Silver Creek forever. One crisp morning, as Koa wandered down the main street of Silver Creek, he spotted the local marshal, a burly man named Sheriff Thompson. Known for his keen senses and quick decisions, Thompson often patrolled the area, keeping a watchful eye on the townsfolk. On this day, however, it was Koa's elusive presence that caught his attention. Intrigued by the silent boy moving amongst the bustling crowd, Thompson approached him, kneeling to meet his gaze. In that moment, Koa felt a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Few ever took notice of him. The marshal studied Koa carefully with squinting eyes that seemed to read more than just silence. They sought understanding. "What if I offered you something for your gift?" Thompson asked in a low voice, producing a shiny silver coin from his pocket. Its gleam reflected Koa's wide eyes as he recognized its worth. A small treasure in these hard times. The marshal continued, "Your silence could help me solve some mysteries around town. Just think what we could uncover together." Koa hesitated, weighing the value of the coin against what it meant to barter his silence. Though he was tempted by the glimmer of silver, deeper within him lay a concern. What secrets might be revealed if he agreed? Ultimately, he nodded slowly, an unspoken agreement born from hope and risk. As Koa walked away from the marshal, the silver coin felt heavy in his pocket, a tangible weight that pulled at his thoughts. He paused beneath a large cedar tree, its branches swaying gently in the wind, and closed his eyes to reflect on his decision. The coin shimmered in the sunlight, enticing him with promises of food, warmth, and maybe even acceptance. Yet it was not just the lure of money that drew him. It was the possibility of being part of something larger than himself. Koa understood well the teachings of his people, that silence held power. In his culture, listening was as vital as speaking, a way to connect with nature and one another. Bartering his silence felt like a betrayal of that understanding. Would he lose the essence of who he was by giving it up? Could he still embrace his Apache heritage if he traded this precious gift for mere coins? But then came the thought of Silver Creek's mysteries, the secrets hidden in dusty corners and dark alleys. Perhaps his silence could serve a greater purpose, helping to unveil truths that had long been buried. With a deep breath, Koa shifted his perspective. If he could unlock these mysteries while staying true to himself, then perhaps this trade could bring both change and understanding, not just for him but for the entire town. Resolute, he decided to accept the coin and step into a new chapter of his life. Sheriff Thompson watched Koa as the boy ventured deeper into the heart of Silver Creek, his mind racing with possibilities. For weeks, the town had been plagued by a series of strange occurrences. Livestock disappearing, shadows flickering in the night, and whispers of ghostly figures haunting the streets after dark. The townsfolk were unsettled, and Thompson felt the pressure mounting to restore peace. He believed that Koa's unusual silence held a powerful key to unraveling these mysteries. The boy possessed an extraordinary ability to observe without being noticed, allowing him to witness things that often went unseen. While the townspeople dismissed Koa as an outsider, the marshal felt there was more to his story. Perhaps he could hear what others could not, the secrets buried beneath their daily lives. As Koa began his new journey alongside Thompson, the sheriff made it his mission to understand how the boy's unique perspective might help shed light on the darkness lurking in Silver Creek. With each passing day, Thompson gathered information from townsfolk and pieced together clues. He hoped that Koa's silent observations would lead them closer to uncovering the truth behind the unsettling events plaguing their home. Together, they would delve into the town's shadows, searching for answers that could not only restore normalcy, but perhaps also reveal deeper truths that lay hidden within both Koa and Silver Creek itself. As Koa and Sheriff Thompson embarked on their investigation, the sheriff decided to delve into the town's history to uncover any secrets that might be tied to the recent troubles. He began by rummaging through dusty ledgers and old newspaper articles at the town hall, where forgotten stories whispered from the yellowed pages. One afternoon, Thompson stumbled upon a faded map showing the original Apache lands surrounding Silver Creek. It was marked with symbols indicating sacred sites where important events had occurred long ago, places that held the memories of Koa's ancestors. The sheriff noted how these areas had been largely ignored by townsfolk, perhaps reflecting a desire to forget, rather than confront a shared past. Intrigued, Thompson shared his findings with Koa, who listened intently. He recognized many of the places from stories told by his elders. As they discussed them, Koa recalled tales of broken treaties and lost lands, stories that intertwined the Apache community's fate with that of Silver Creek itself. The marshal realized that understanding this shared history was crucial to his investigation. The recent disappearances and eerie happenings could very well be tied to unresolved grievances from years past. With each clue they uncovered, a picture began to form, a tapestry of connection between Koa's silence and the shadows haunting Silver Creek, suggesting that healing could only begin if these buried stories were brought back into the light. After Koa accepted the silver coin from Sheriff Thompson, the atmosphere in Silver Creek shifted. It began subtly, with townsfolk murmuring about strange happenings as dusk settled over the dusty streets. As shadows grew longer, eerie whispers floated through the air, sounding like voices carried on the wind. These murmurs spoke of lost souls and past wrongs, stirring a sense of unease among the residents. In the days that followed, more peculiar events unfolded. Shadows skittered along alleyways, darting out of sight just as eyes turned to look. On a few occasions, Koa noticed townspeople peering suspiciously over their shoulders, their faces pale and anxious. The once bustling marketplace fell eerily quiet at night, replaced by an unsettling stillness. Livestock continued to vanish overnight, and the whispers seemed to deepen in intensity, almost as if they knew something that everyone else was unaware of. One evening, as Koa and Thompson walked through the town, the sheriff stopped suddenly, pointing to an alley where a faint glow flickered. They exchanged worried glances, understanding that something was not right. This surge of strange occurrences hinted at a mystery entwined with the very roots of Silver Creek, a darkness lurking just beneath the surface that linked the town's past with its present. and perhaps even with Koa's own silent story. As days slipped by in Silver Creek, the sense of unease among the townspeople deepened. Whispers of ghostly figures and strange happenings filled the air, swirling like dust in the dry streets, and people began exchanging furtive glances as they went about their daily routines. The once cheerful laughter that echoed through the marketplace turned into anxious murmurs, and friendly conversations grew sparse as a shadow crept over the community. Parents kept their children close, warning them to avoid certain alleys where shadows seemed to move on their own. Shopkeepers eyed customers warily, wondering if one day they'd turn their backs to find the store empty of goods or, worse still, of customers. The livestock disappearances only heightened this agitation. Each missing animal felt like a loss that resonated with an unspoken fear that gripped everyone tightly. Koa noticed it all, the tightening jaws of adults, the wide eyes of children darting nervously, and the way townsfolk often exchanged worried murmurs at sundown. He sensed that something dark lay beneath their everyday lives, festering like an untreated wound. Sheriff Thompson, too, could feel the change in the air. It was as if Silver Creek itself held its breath, waiting for a revelation or reckoning. Each strange incident whispered a truth yet to be uncovered, pushing Koa and Thompson closer to understanding not just what haunted the town, but why its past refused to stay buried. As the investigation deepened, Sheriff Thompson felt an increasing weight of urgency pressing on his shoulders. One rainy afternoon, while poring over dusty records and old books in the town's archives, he stumbled upon an alarming entry, a missing artifact that held immense historical significance, a ledger detailing the original agreements between the settlers and the Apache tribes. The document was said to contain terms that promised land and respect for traditions, but it had mysteriously vanished from the town hall decades ago. Thompson's heart raced at the implications. If this ledger existed, it could shed light on the grievances that had been buried for so long. The townsfolk's secretive behavior suddenly made sense. It seemed they dreaded the truths this document contained. With each passing hour, tension mounted as Koa sensed something amiss. Shadows cast by flickering lanterns grew longer, and the whispering winds outside echoed his unease. If the town's original agreement with the Apache people was indeed missing, it could ignite tensions that would alter Silver Creek's future forever. Gathering his resolve, Sheriff Thompson decided to confront some of the oldest residents, hoping to glean more about the circumstances surrounding the ledger's disappearance. With Koa by his side, they prepared to peel back layers of history that could reveal a powerful secret, one that would force the town to face its past in unavoidable ways. The air thickened with anticipation. It was clear that uncovering this lost piece of history could change everything. The tension in Silver Creek reached a boiling point as Sheriff Thompson gathered the townsfolk in the community center. The air thick with anticipation and fear. Koa stood beside him, feeling the weight of his silence more than ever. The sheriff took a deep breath and addressed the crowd, revealing the existence of the missing ledger that documented the original agreements with the Apache tribes. "I know many of you have been afraid," Thompson began, his voice steady but firm. "We must confront our past if we are to find peace. This ledger contains truths that reveal both our shared history and the broken promises that haunt us." Murmurs rippled through the crowd as worried faces turned toward Koa. Sheriff Thompson then acknowledged the unspoken bond between the boy and the town's hidden wounds. "I offered Koa a silver coin for his silence, thinking he could be a key to our mysteries. But I realize now that my actions may have silenced a voice we needed to hear." Koa's heart raced as he felt a surge of emotions: fear, anger, and a burgeoning sense of empowerment. He stepped forward, breaking his silence to share his knowledge of the land, its spirits, and his people's stories. In that moment, both Koa and Thompson understood. Facing the truth was not just about uncovering lost documents, but also about acknowledging every voice in Silver Creek, including the one they had almost silenced forever. The path to healing lay just ahead, illuminated by their collective courage to confront what had been buried for far too long. In the wake of their revelations, the townsfolk of Silver Creek began to reflect on the deeper meanings of trust and identity. The stories shared by Koa bridged the gap between cultures, allowing them to see that silence could be a powerful form of communication. a way to honor the past while paving the way for understanding. For many in the town, the balance between silence and truth had long been skewed. They had allowed fear to foster a culture of avoidance, silencing not only Koa but also their own histories. Now, as they confronted their shared past, a new narrative began to unfold, one that embraced complexity rather than shying away from it. Koa, once an outcast for his silence, emerged as a vital guardian of stories that had waited patiently to be heard. He embodied the strength of Apache culture, where listening is revered as much as speaking. As he stood with Sheriff Thompson among those who once treated him with distrust, he felt a burgeoning sense of belonging. Together, they recognized that healing could only occur through empathy and acknowledgement, the willingness to face uncomfortable truths while respecting one another's identities. In this shared moment of vulnerability and courage, Silver Creek began its journey toward unity, understanding that trust built upon honesty can transform even the deepest scars into pathways of resilience and hope for future generations.